Good evening, basketball world. Welcome to Bengaluru, India. This is the FIBA Women's Asia Cup 2019, and it's the Group A game between Chinese Taipei and India. Well, it's always a good time when the hosts play. India have yet to win, but they certainly have put on a good show here, and we expect one tonight against Chinese Taipei. It's a battle of 0-2 teams. Chinese Taipei have actually played extremely well for large parts of this Asia Cup, and they've got nothing to show for it. So they do start as the favorites, there's no doubt about it. We've already seen New Zealand, China, and Japan win today. Of course, China winning the 70-69 thriller over Australia to go straight to the semifinals. And here is the Group A standings. So Japan just beat Korea, so they finished top. Then it's Korea. And these two teams have faced those two teams. Chinese Taipei gave them both a lot of problems, but finished on the losing end. I'm Jeff Taylor, joined by Mark Mills. And it's do or die, really, for these two teams.
Yeah, it really is. It's one of those where it's such polar opposites, the outcomes. If you win this game, you're still in the hunt, you're making your way through, you're one game away from the Final Four, the semi-finals of the Asia Cup. If you lose this, your survival in Division A hangs by a thread. You are down to one more game. If you don't win that one, then you're out of Division A. So a really, really important game for both these teams.
Well, it's such an honor to be able to host a FIBA Women's Asia Cup, and India have done so twice in succession. They hosted it in 2017 when they were in Division B. They won promotion, and I have to say it's been a lot of fun on both occasions, perhaps even more so this year. I think the quality of the team seems to have gone up a little bit, and Chinese Taipei, just like 2 years ago, you know, they are kind of a roller coaster team. They can come out, they can make life difficult for the opponents. They spread the court, and they just haven't been able to finish games off yet. So, you know, we fully expect them to come out and put in a good show tonight against India.
Yeah, they've been much better, obviously, in game day 2. They might have lost by 35 points to Korea, but they gave them a scare. They really, you know, pushed them and corralled them as hard as they could. The issue they've got is defensively. You know, they've had their struggles. They're you know, leaking points left, right, and centre, and also 21.5 turnovers a game. You need to protect the ball better than that. But they go into tonight's game as favourites for the first time this week.
So India, you can hear some applause for them. And really, Gita, their number 4, has perhaps been their most consistent player, although we did see just an unbelievable performance, especially in the first quarter last night from Scaria. Steffi Nixon will be looking to have a better performance tonight than she played yesterday, no doubt. We saw Sankar come out, number 5, the point guard. She's a three-point threat. This is a big moment for these women playing at home. They know they don't have the pedigree that all of their opponents have, and that they just want to come out and do their best and do their country proud. So we're about just under 6 minutes away from the opening tip as Lamai comes out, and we will very shortly take a pause in the commentary so we can have the playing of the national anthems for both teams, for India and also for Chinese Taipei. We'll start with Chinese Taipei.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand up for the national anthems. We start with the Olympic music of Team Chinese Taipei. Please remain standing.
Well, every time we hear it, it's a great moment. Zoran Visic now goes to shake hands with Ken Wagner. My good friend Nelson Isley is friends with Zoran Visic. Nelson travels the world, knows all the coaches, and he says Visic is a great guy to be at the helm of India. And you can see that his players really look up to him. And they do have some good plays. And I'm looking forward to a good performance tonight. The referees, Sarah Emily Carey from Australia, Rico Bauron from Philippines, and Fang Wen Chuan from China. And Chinese Taipei have a team really that, what would you think? I'd say they go probably almost 12 deep.
Yeah, they do go deep, but it's just a matter of, you know, how deep does this talent go? And for me, looking at their roster, Cheng Yishu obviously having a good tournament, 7 points, 5.5 rebounds, had a great game day 1, 10 and 8 against Korea. And then Huang Ling Cheng is another standout, 12 points against Japan yesterday, averaging 7.5 across the tournament as well, shooting 36% from outside. But looking at India, they've obviously got an inexperienced roster. Geeta's been impressive, as has Scalia, and Lamai was impressive game day 1. You just hope game day 1 Lamai turns up, because she slightly disappeared yesterday for them.
Yeah, slightly more anonymous yesterday, and I think when it comes to India, I just don't know what to expect, to be honest. I mean, who's going to step up? And Chinese Taipei?
Yeah, plenty of talent in there. Chuang is good, and, you know, Huang, an awful lot of talent. It's just whether their scrappy style of basketball suits being not the underdogs anymore, because they enter this game for the first time this week being, you know, expected to win a game, and that has a different mantle. That has a different way to approach a game. They need to come in and they need to dominate. They can't just take what the opposition give them and try and react to that. They need to come in and actually impose themselves on the game.
Well, India are going to start with Bakar Sankar, Steffi Nixon, Bandavia, Scaria, and Lamai. There's Scaria. She was just electric yesterday.
好，底线球先打1，正常版的1，好，然后一种方法多打几次，再换下一种，好吗？好。
And the starting 5 for Chinese Taipei: Huang Pingjin, Tsai Pei Chen, Cheng Yisoo, Pong Zhu Chen, and couldn't get there to the last. Sorry, folks. We'll see who it is. Comes out. Zoran Visic.
And Coach Visic, it's more than a tournament. You know, that's how India need to approach this. This is about building a program, building a basketball culture in this country, and hosting 2 Asia Cups in a row is certainly going to help that, you know, really seed the local population into loving basketball, and it's a big job for him. Coach Wagner, slightly different job. Chinese Taipei slightly further down the road of development than India are, and survival in Division A, I think, probably is the minimum that he will expect from his team.
Well, good evening, folks. If you're just joining us, we are in Bengaluru, India. This is the FIBA Women's Asia Cup, and it's the game between Chinese Taipei in white and India in the blue. Both teams 0-2. The winner advances to the qualification to the semifinals. The loser will have to go play in the classification game to try to stay in Division A. So India again wearing that familiar blue that seems to bring out the best in them. And their fans are hoping they have a great start like they did last night. Bandavia hit a couple of big ones last night. Pong steps back, and Lamai with the rebound. Now leads to a fast break opportunity. Bandavia, good hustle back by Scaria, but she pushes off on Pong.
And this is the bit of the Indian game that I like. You know, they try and get out and run. They know that they may not get the option in the half court. They may struggle to create an opportunity in their half court offense. So the first option, and this is what you say to every team that you coach, first option is always transition. Let's get out and run and see if we can get an easy basket quickly rather than taking our time trying to find a basket. And I like that about India. They know that they want to get out and run.
Lin is short with his first attempt. The Chinese Taipei under probably a little bit of kind of an uncomfortable position. You alluded to, they're the favorites tonight. They know they go out basically the tournament if they don't win, and they got to play on, you know, against the home team. So Lamai turns, puts it up and in.
Very good shot from Lamai, and she really didn't turn up yesterday's game, but game day one she showed us exactly what she can do, and they'll be hoping the same again.
Well, that's a big shot for Chinese Taipei. Huang, as Huang has done so often in this tournament. Scaria out to Lamai, that's good, and Steffi Nixon much better with the rebound. Didn't see hardly anything positive from her. Called for travel.
Yeah, just picked up that pivot foot as she tried to make the turn, make the spin to the baseline. Just a step too far, but I like the way that India are approaching the game to start with. High energy, high pace, but you're right, Chinese Taipei have a different sort of pressure on them now. Expectations.
Wong takes a bump. Steffi Nixon gets the rebound. The ball batted out of bounds.
You know, this is the first game where Chinese Taipei are expected to win the game. You know, it's no longer a bonus if they win the game. This is a must now. Coach Wagner and his players, they must win today's game. That's how it's being positioned to them, I imagine, and that's how they'll have it in their own minds.
Amaya dribbles it off her right foot, turns it over. But her body language seems better tonight. Bounce pass to Chai. Lamai gets in their battles, and I think Scaria picks up her second foul. Just difficult to know what you get one day to the next in the sport of basketball in terms of player performances.
Yeah, particularly in this Asia Cup. Every single team, there's not one team that's had a dominant player that's, you know, taken over in every single game this week. They seem to have turned to different players to step up in different occasions, and kind of makes it exciting. Makes it a bit more difficult to be a co-commentator, but makes it exciting for fans.
Bandavia open. Good rebound, Scaria. Dumps it to Nixon. Oh, nice turn. A little bit unlucky there. Chang goes hard and is fouled by Lamai.
That's a nice baseline drive and catching Lamai out. And part of the ploy for Chinese Taipei, there are only a few key players for India that really give them the opportunity to win this game, and if they can get them into foul trouble, that's going to make it a lot easier for Chinese Taipei.
Gita comes in for Bandavia. The only thing I would have to say about Lamai there defensively is if you know you're not going to get help, don't give up the baseline. I mean, that's like one of the first things you learn in basketball.
Yeah, and that's it. And again, you know, it's the naivety and the young nature of this Indian team. Maybe they don't know, am I pushing to the middle? Am I pushing them baseline? Where's my help coming from? Is any help coming at all? And like you say, if not, you're kind of taught to slap your foot on that baseline and not let anyone past you. But these are all development points for the national team.
You see Gita already, her pace, her quick first step is just so difficult for opponents. And she needed all of 5 seconds to remind Chinese Taipei of that. But Lin answers immediately. Lin Yu Ting. Turns it over.
But yeah, it is just that first step. The other thing she's got to advantage is she's really got long arms, long limbs, and it enables her just to extend above, usually above the defender that's guarding her.
Pong turns it over. Nixon now quickly. Gita, see if she can outrun Ching. She does. Look at that. And she scores with a left hand.
Under important for a lot of people, but having both hands to go to really does make the offense an awful lot easier for you, and Gita's showing exactly there.
Ching. Now Gita again. Hands it off. Scaria couldn't quite get it to go.
And those kind of shots were rolling for her yesterday, so she'll be hoping they start rolling again soon.
Ching finishes off a nice move for Chinese Taipei. Sunkar for three. Good box out by Chai.
And Chai did well for Chinese Taipei yesterday. She really did mix it up. Took on that center mantle.
Long had nowhere to go after Lamai came over to help out. India could use the Sunkar three. Oh, they get it to Scaria. Nice pass by Lamai. And it's like night and day for Lamai last night. She's coming out.
Yeah, I'm sure she probably had a bit of a reflective moment after the game yesterday, kind of questioning how much she'd put in and what contribution she'd made, and she's making amends for it today.
And scores with a little short jumper on the baseline. Already 4 points for her. Scaria bumped and fouled by Chai. So Madari comes in for the first time, as well as Panu, who played well last night, coming in late. Madhu Kumari wears number 9. And Panu has got number 12, or 15, excuse me.
Kumari just approaches the game with absolutely no fear, which is wonderful to see when you're an underdog.
And that time to pass from Gita just a little too high.
Actually, a foul, holding foul's been called.
Okay,
Not
so
sure who on.
or maybe they're saying it was touched by Chinese Taipei. Oh no, it was on Lim. You're right. Then you called for the foul. Then you ting. Gita drives. then Yuting. 3-point attempt. Hannah with the rebound.
And that's the key for Gita. She doesn't have the best of handles. She needs a couple of dribbles to the basket. That's the key for her. She doesn't want to be taking over point guard responsibilities.
Oh, Gita with the rebound. Stepped out of bounds. Arvind also is going to come in now. Smriti Arvind for India.
5 for 5 for Chinese Taipei. We've seen it a few times this week. It's a real rarity.
Well, Wagner likes doing that, doesn't he?
Yeah. Yeah, he does. You feel guilty if you're the 2 players still left on the bench, though. You've got such a good chance of getting subbed in and you're still left out. I'd feel, yeah, that would have been me.
Remember Dean Smith used to do that as the coach at North Carolina. He would bring in the blue team. Like the less heralded people, less heralded players, but with the national teams, you pretty much know all these people can contribute, and Han comes right out immediately and proves that point.
And that's the thing, sometimes bench players have a point to prove, and this is their chance to stake a claim to maybe more minutes in bigger games going forward.
Kamari to Scaria. Oh, they're passing it well. Shot clock winding down. Did she get off in time? Oh, apparently. Wong, she drained another three-pointer. Boy, she caught fire yesterday. I think she had 4 or 5 threes. And she's got her first here in the first quarter. Beautiful drive and explosive move from Arvind. Another of those Indian players who came on late last night and has earned a chance to play tonight. Early introduction to the game.
And you've got to love that, you know, play well in a game and you're going to be rewarded with more minutes.
Oh, nice. Calm as you like shot from Huang.
So what you'll find is there's no greater motivator for a player than saying, prove to me that you deserve more minutes. You know, show me that you deserve more minutes and you'll get them.
Keith a little bit out of control there. Danger time for India as Chinese Taipei already up by 11. Scaria catches the overhead pass from Arvind. Gets it to Kamari. She gets blocked. A little bit too predictable there from Young Chin. And now Han races down and is fouled while making the left-handed layup by Panu.
And Chinese Taipei have just fallen into a really strong rhythm now. You know, they're playing good denial defense, and then they're getting out and running, and it's really heads-up transition, finding the breakaway players for the easy 2.
So 49.7 seconds to go in the first quarter, and Chinese Taipei lead at 23-10. Visic calls timeout for India.
Let's go with the aggressive close out. With the ball going on flat. You must finish over there. Again, turnovers, or out of bounds, or bad pass, or let's go. Appreciate every ball, appreciate. We didn't score 5 minutes.
Okay, let's go defense. 1, 2, 3. Defense.
Well, India fans looking on. Chinese Taipei trying to get back to the podium here. First time since 2005 when they finished 3rd behind China and runners-up Korea. Of course, it's a different setup these days with both Australia and New Zealand in Asia. And that's in my opinion, a masterstroke decision. I don't know in terms of like the difficulty of traveling for those teams, for everybody traveling back and forth, but in terms of having them in Asia, it certainly spices up the competition.
Oh yeah, across the board, men's and women's competitions.
Good for both.
Definitely.
In terms of the competition itself is great. I mean, we even saw the Australian men lose to Japan in the Australian qualifiers, excuse me, the Asian qualifiers for the World Cup in the men's team. So India coming out of the timeout looking to right the ship. It's teetering right now. Down 14 and ball taken away. Young Chen drives in and scores.
Yeah, and Coach Visic in the timeout, he was just talking about the basics. Look, we need to really treasure every possession we get. We can't make simple mistakes. It's all just concentration.
And this time Arvin, and it looks like they're pressing a little bit. India. Ball goes out of bounds, and it's quite a stark contrast to last night when they played so well in India that they got up on top of Korea and led 22-20 by the end of the first quarter. And Chinese Taipei having their best shooting night. Han, and that takes it up to 28-10. So at the end of the first quarter, everything going right for Chinese Taipei. Anytime you can pour in this many points early on, it's just something might not be right for the opposing defense. Chinese Taipei, I think it's 28-10 over India. So it is indeed, that graphic will change eventually. It should be 28-10, but India, well.
Yeah, not having the best of starts shooting wise. You know, they've attempted 5 shots from outside the perimeter, got none. Shooting 41% inside, so not too bad, but for Chinese Taipei, it's a real step up in quality with regards to their shooting performances. So far in this tournament, they've been shooting less than 30% from the field. And tonight, they're shooting 60% from the perimeter, 3 from 5, and 50% from the field. So it really has come down to just them really cranking up that efficiency. That is slightly, though, off the back of Indian defense maybe not being as pressured as Chinese Taipei have experienced in the first 2 game days. Feel that much like Japan in the game before this, Chinese Taipei want to try and seal this game and take the win as early as they can. They don't want to leave it to chance, because India showed that they can get hot and start scoring points, and the last thing Chinese Taipei want to do is slip up in what is a critical game for them.
And Chinese Taipei look pretty relaxed, in fairness. They've come out with the right mindset. I think they've played these games enough to know what is needed. Ju's checked in, number 77 for Chinese Taipei. Lemai. Well, it's a good attempt. Look at him react quickly. Huang. And that was beautiful counterattack there by Chinese Taipei. Now Chen. Huang for 3. Inbounds pass to Han. India do well to look up to get that quick outlet pass. So Chinese Taipei are able to get back. Steffi Nixon trying it from distance.
Yeah, it didn't go away yesterday, and she's still struggling to get it going today.
Huang short with that one. Huang was 4 of 7 from 3-point range yesterday against Japan. And The dump to Steffi Nixon. Denied down low. Ju. Back out to Chen. And now to Han, who's been a handful. And Huang stepped out of bounds.
And the difference when you watch the Indian defense to some of the more experienced, high-profile teams in this tournament is the ball gets stuck on the Indian side of things. So the ball's made a pass somewhere and the ball stays with that player too much. For me, when you're coaching people, do something with the ball. You're either moving it forward, you're driving to the basket, you're making a pass. You've got to be doing something. You can't just be standing still, waiting for things to happen in front of you.
Push called on Han, guarding the India captain. Raja Priyad Harshini. Raja Priyad Dashini. Yep. That's how you say it. The Mai trapped. That was interesting. She was going to beat the trap by throwing an over-the-head pass.
Yeah. It's not in every coaching textbook. The way to escape the trap is by
watch this.
Throwing it over your head.
Oh, gosh.
Or Chinese Taipei had a chance to trap in the corner then, but they didn't jump on it.
Well, that's just downright difficult to make that shot from Bandavia.
Yeah, Bandavia has done that, though, throughout this tournament. I don't think she's seen a shot she doesn't like, so she's willing to take those really difficult long shots.
Now picked up the dribble. He's in a little bit of trouble. Ooh. Ball fell kindly to Bandavia. She's going to put it up again. Three minutes into the second quarter, and Chinese Taipei and India have not scored in this frame. Good defense that time by Navanita.
Both teams have only averaged mid-40s scoring-wise in their first two games, so we were never expecting this to be a high-scoring one.
Lamai, good defense. Good defense by Wu Ying Chie. Good turn shot by Chen. And down low, and the captain, Raja Priyadashini makes her first her first basket of the night. Chen from deep. Nice play relaxed play by Chinese Taipei. 35-12 now.
And that's how you feel with Chinese Taipei. They feel really relaxed on the floor. It's great because there's obviously a lot riding on this game, but I think their good early start, their good first quarter, and the lead that they hold now has enabled them really to relax into enjoying maybe the favourites tag that they've got for this game.
Navanita was never going to score that one. And good drive by Ju, and really they're just slicing and dicing. They're making quick work of India tonight. Chinese Taipei already up 25 points.
Yeah, they really are. They're looking as good as Japan did against India.
Lamai for three, good.
I think a slight relief there for India, and you can hear it from the crowd. They want to see their team. They understand they're underdogs, but they want to see their team put the fight in. And Lamai looks like she wants to lead that fight today for India. And she's 5 for 5 again, I think, for Korea. Coach Wagner changing his entire on-court roster.
Lamai with 5 points after that one. Soft jumper. Raja Priya with the rebound. Now Gita with 4.5 minutes to go in the first half. India can't afford to fall behind anymore. They need to cut into this deficit before the break. 5 on the shot clock. And the swat. Here comes Chinese Taipei. Another chance to run. 2-on-1 break. Ching, and Ching is fouled by Navanita.
And you've got to like the effort the Chinese Taipei are putting in. They want this game pretty much won by the half, and they're on track almost to do that. For India, tons of work to do, but there's glimmers of what they can achieve. And I like the fact that Gita actually slowed it down. We've seen a lot of quite chaotic offense from India. Gita actually slowed it down. She tried to call an offense and put a bit of structure to the Indian attempts to score. And I think that'll pay dividends, not just in this game long term. If they provide a bit more structure and a bit more understanding on the offensive end what each other's doing.
Passes back, and the shot clock goes off, so that will not count. And it's been really, yeah, just maybe their toughest game, to be honest. More so than against Japan.
Yeah, I think so. At the moment, in every game India have played, we've seen a bit of a run. We've seen a few minutes where they've actually showed, you know, the crowd what they can do. But so far, Chinese Taipei haven't let them. They've literally just locked them out of the game. And whichever 5 it is that Coach Wagner puts on the floor, they continue to do the same thing.
Sankar doesn't collect the rebound, so goes from bad to worse for India as Lamai comes back in. Good job, Chang, getting Gita off her feet. He took the pump fake. The free throws for Chinese Taipei.
You have got to love how Chinese Taipei have approached this game. They've been really almost military about it. They've set their mind exactly what they wanted to do, how they're going to play the game, because it is a complete swing for them. You know, they've stopped being this scrappy, hustle in your face kind of team, and they've changed a slightly more silky, elegant way of playing basketball. They've taken that kind of favourites crown and changed the way they play the game, which isn't easy to do. It's difficult sometimes to switch from playing the underdog style of basketball to playing the team that should dictate the pace and dictate the terms.
Well, if they do go on to win this game, they will face Australia in the qualification for the semifinals.
And not just Australia, disgruntled Australia after they lost that wonderful game earlier today. They will have a point to prove with whoever they face in this next classification game. They're not going to go lightly. They're going to want to show this tournament that they should still be one of the favourites for gold.
Well, also Australia knowing that they lost to Japan in the last one, 2017. So it's not a title they've won yet. They automatically think they will, but they haven't. Chai follows.
You know, and the way India have approached every single game they've played so far in this tournament, including this one, they approach it with a lot of fight and heart. but you can tell that they're really enjoying just being here. They're enjoying being part of Asia Cup. They're enjoying being part of Division A. And in their heart of hearts, they must have known that there's a high percentage chance that they were going to end up in that relegation game. And you know, and that was must be a huge target. If they could stay in Division A for the next incarnation of the Asia Cup, it'd be a huge achievement.
That's a nice play to Navanita. She hears the applause. It's back to a 23-point deficit. Hong Fan Shan pulling the strings up top now for Chinese Taipei. Ching launches it but misses everything.
And the thing is, for India to get back into this game, you're only really looking at 5 or 6 minutes of their best basketball. And they could potentially break this down to a single-digit lead for Chinese Taipei. And that's all they need. They need that kind of smelling blood in the water, as it were, to see, you know, that will give them the motivation to push on.
Get the crowd excited.
Yeah, definitely. That played, you know, that played into their hands in their game yesterday against Korea. They obviously got blown out in the end, but they really were in that game. They fought so hard in that game.
Just play this motion. Just play motion.
So one with motion?
With the phones, and then continue with motion. Like
Possible.
because they switch everything. You know, they switch on pick, they switch, so you can continue.
Two.
Okay, be ready.
准备好
Let's
哦
do a good job, rebound hard. Hey, we have to, everyone talk here, no easy shots. Okay?
讲话讲话
Let's go.
I love it how
One,
you
two,
have,
three.
this is a great example in my opinion of where, you know, international basketball is great in that these national teams can rely on, you know, seasoned veterans from abroad.
Yeah, and countries that are at the kind of earlier stages of the development, like Chinese Taipei, and you know, really building a program, it's great to have that experience. It's great to have someone that's been there, done that so many different times, so many different places.
Ken Wagner, yep.
Yeah, he's done a great job. He's done a great job. There's things I'm sure he'll look back and change, but that's what every coach looks at. They're the biggest critics usually of themselves, and yeah, they can be proud of what they've done.
But also with India, with Zoran Visic, I mean, you can't go to a better place really than Serbia if you want to get a basketball coach.
No, absolutely not. He's going to develop you a program that will produce player after player after player, and that's just the start of the path, really. They're a couple of years into that journey, and if they can stick with Coach Visic, you have a feeling they're going to start producing some great players soon.
Yeah, you just want to have the proper foundations. And Scaria had scored for India to get it back to a 21-point deficit. Now India commit their 4th team foul. Navanita. Now, jump shot, and good job by India to take that ball away. Navanita has it. Fancy a curry tonight?
Do I have a choice? I do. I have a choice of about 8 different gorgeous curries.
I've never had such good curry so frequently in my life. Here's Lamai, another one, the 3, and you talked about it. Just need to get the crowd involved, get that feel-good factor back. Here's when they need to get a stop, though. And they get it. Now Gita, and again Lamai has the hot hand. Is she going to take it all the way? Well, Kamari. Oh, Lamai throws it into traffic, but Chinese Taipei guilty of the bump. Nevertheless, that's only their 4th team foul. And what's interesting is that if Lamai here, and the good Lamai has come tonight, by the way, you know, that's gotten it back to 18 points. So if they can get another 3, that'll get it to 15. Look at this. They're going to take that. They'll get it back to 16.
And this is exactly what we're talking about. They need 5 or 6 minutes of good basketball, and they're going to blow this one open again. And Chinese Taipei's relaxed style will have to change. They'll have to revert back to that tough game that they play.
And now they turn it over almost, but they get it back. India cannot give away a basket here. They need to go out on a high, and they do. They get the rebound, but then the ball knocked out of Gita's hands, and she commits a foul. She's got to be more alert.
Yeah, that's really just having that kind of peripheral understanding the game. In that situation, you know there's people around you. Just lock it up. Get your arms wrapped around the ball until you know where your point guard is, and then just hand them the ball.
So Ching goes to the line and misses the first, so a little bit of a reprieve here for India, who's done a great job of sticking to it and cutting that deficit.
They need to make sure they lock out this rebound, though. That's huge.
Chinese Taipei led by as many as 25. Now here are the final seconds, ticking off the clock. Gets it to Lamai. She puts it up and hit it off the rim. Nevertheless, it feels like we've got a game again. India. They were in trouble, but they end up outscoring Chinese Taipei 14-13 in the second quarter and claw that deficit back to 41-24 at halftime. Well, the shooting numbers are obviously much better for Chinese Taipei.
Yeah, but you've got to like what India are starting to do. You know, their 2-point shooting percentage is going up, and as much as Lamai's hit a couple of threes, that's where they're going to win this game. They're going to have to go inside, drive to the basket, the likes of Gita. Also the boards, they're starting to battle harder on the boards now. It's a lot even in the paint. And that's not because India are playing particularly their big players, it's because they're hustling hard for it. One thing India do need to do, and this is what Coach Visic was talking about, is they really need to lock down on the defensive end and also on the offensive end and look after their turnover situation. 9 turnovers in the first half is too many for India to put away, and Chinese Taipei will make them pay for it. And at the moment, 17-point lead. Could have been an awful lot more without that resurgent Indian performance in the last 5 minutes.
Well, it's the winner that goes on to the qualification to the semifinals. The loser will go to the classification game and battle for Division A survival. It's 41-24. Chinese Taipei on top of India at halftime. We'll be right back. nice way to finish the game for Castillo. (41-24), Chinese Taipei on top of India, but India have had a nice little recovery led by Mrs. Lamai there. Shireen Lamai, 8 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. And it's strange how she didn't make much of an impact yesterday after a great opening night, but tonight we're seeing her quality in different ways. Her scoring, her passing, her spirit. She makes comes up with a big rebound, the big defensive play. You know, still a mountain to climb for India, but at least they've given themselves a chance here, and they just have to come out and really tighten up and not make mistakes. See Ching here with 10 points and a couple rebounds for Chinese Taipei, who actually
what I love from
shot the
Cheng's
ball pretty well.
From Cheng's point of view, I love 10 points. 8 of them have come from the line. He's drawn 5 fouls and got himself to the line 5 times off the back of it. You know, 8 from 10 from the line. And in these tournaments, in these kind of games, how you perform from the free throw line is really underrated. It's so important. And, you know, imagine if he hadn't hit any of those 8, how close would this game be now? You know, really, really strong performance from the line from him.
Yeah, and they're 9 of 11 as a team, so it's basically
also
him from the free throw line.
Yeah, they've almost been automatic. You know, you've had Han, she's 1 from 1. You know, she's 8 from 10, and at the moment, India haven't even got to the free throw line. You know, they've made no trips to the free throw line whatsoever. They've only drawn 6 fouls. Chinese Taipei have drawn 9. Maybe that's a way for India to get back into this game, be a little bit more direct to the basket.
Well, the Indian fans still waving their flags, full of self-belief.
And there's plenty of friends and family as well. When the Indian players were warming up, an awful lot of their friends and family in the crowd. You could see as individual players were shooting the ball, you'd hear, you know, noise go up from the crowd, particularly from behind us. And it's must be a wonderful experience for them to take to the court in an Asia Cup in their home country.
Philippines coaching staff here watching because they know that they will face the loser of this game in the qualification tomorrow, so that's the advantage that they've got. And also the referees. We love the referees, don't we?
We do.
We see them all the time.
We do, in the same hotel as them.
They're a very chatty bunch, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
You know, people may not realize it. Referees after every game go back and review their tapes and everything. It's you know, they're judged and critiqued. People trying to make it a good profession as possible. Here we go, second half underway. Chinese Taipei coming out with perhaps a little bit more vigor than they finished with in that second quarter, knowing that India have gotten the whiff of a comeback here. And that's a good, strong start. Getting a little mismatch there on Madhu Kumari. Huang scoring with ease. And Lamai, if I would say one thing, is dribbling in front of the guard like that, you better be pretty good with your handles, or you're going to have it taken away. Now here's a chance in the open floor, and Lamai knows it, but decides to take it back out.
Yeah, Huang with good defense there, shepherding her to the corner.
Scary, a nice play by her, and draws the foul on Ju. So, hey, they took a shot at the beginning. Now they've come out. They've got it back. And if they can get Scaria going, that'll really help them. But here was Wong with that early drive. And she completes the three-point play. So 16 points to deficit. Ooh, looked like Kumari got away with an attempted kick. Trying to kick the ball as he drove it past. Wong, 4 on the shot clock, puts it up off the back of the rim. Good job. India doing a decent job on the boards. They were only out-rebounded by 3 in the first half, India. Scaria goes baseline out to Kumari, says, I'm going to take it and I'm going to make it. And the self-belief grows here in Bengaluru for India, now trailing by just 13 points.
And that's a big shot for Kumari as well. She hasn't hit a shot tonight. That's her first make for the game. But like I said earlier, she's not one that's short of confidence.
Good, strong decision. You know what? That is just smart basketball.
Yeah, it is.
Because Huang is tough to stop. And here's the Kumari shot. Lamai does a good job, I think, of putting him on the line, putting Huang on the line.
Yeah, she does. She does. It's the right thing to do. We've talked about it all tournament. You know, make the other player earn their points. And she's earned the first. Will she earn the second? But I also like Chinese Taipei. No fluster, no worry. They stick to their process. They stick to their system. And all the players are buying into it. And ultimately, that's why they hold this 15-point lead.
Here's Lamai again in the paint. Knocks it in. Why not? She should play with confidence. She's got the skill.
Yeah, first Indian player up to double digits now off the back of that. 5 rebounds, 5 assists. She's doing it all.
Han just forced that one. Good D by India. Now they're breaking. It's 4-on-2. Scaria catches it. And a great follow. Good hustle. Scaria there. That's great Indian basketball.
And this is what India can do to you. They've done it in the tournament. They've had these runs of 4 or 5 minutes where they've played beautiful basketball on both ends. And it can cause damage to all of these teams. We're now within 11 points.
They have shaved 14 points off that deficit. Now the entry, passing it back outside to Huang. Now Huang launches it from 3.
Absolute heartbreaker. You felt the air just leave the arena then when that one flicked through the net.
Back to 14 points the advantage. Sankar has it. Navanita in the paint. And Chinese Taipei goes down with it, and then a foul called on Navanita. The problem there was that Lamai picked up her dribble, and then she was had limited options.
Yeah, she half saw an option in front of her starting to open up. She picked a dribble up, but that option disappeared pretty quickly, so she was left making a tough pass, and maybe not in the areas that India want the ball.
Huang again draws the foul. Well, I'll tell you what, it's a one-woman wrecking crew right now. Huang is doing everything. I mean, they can't stop her. Look at this. Got a lot of ball there. All the Philippines here, but I don't know where there's. Oh yeah, they're in the back corner. Seems like they give them better seats. Maybe they don't want to be closer.
Maybe not. Yeah, there's some sofas over midcourt from us, so I'd be all over those if I was them.
Sankar, oh, beautiful drive, beautiful take.
And again, India will not go away.
Chin, there you go, turns it over. What seems to happen with India is if they can score and get a basket in transition or 3, you just see like a different team.
Yeah, on the defensive end, they really are a completely different team.
Look at this. After this shot here, it's just like, okay, we're back in it. Let's go.
Yeah, almost an emotionally led team, you know, and that comes from inexperience now, and that's good in one way. When things are going your way, you get more energy, you get higher with it. But when you have a couple of bad plays go against you, it can sometimes distract you from what you're trying to achieve. But at the moment, it's working for India.
Gita tried to perhaps force that one too much. It goes out of bounds. I think that angle was maybe a little too much for her to make up that time. This is where they have to be good. Huang gets it on the low post, get it out of her hands. Now Huang for 3. Lamai goes for the ball, and India wanted that one more. Sankar. Nice pass. Good catch by Gita. That was a tough one. Sankar open. She can hit the 3 if they can get it to her.
I like that decision from Sankar, though. Not taking the slightly contested 3. Try and draw the foul. That's a really experienced decision. That's good.
Wong is going out. I'm guessing they'll be happy with that, but it ends now. Ching is coming back in along with Chai and also Lin. So the other Huang goes out. So some interesting reinforcements here, and you wonder why Wagner's made that. Tighten things up defensively.
Yeah, I think he'll be a little bit concerned, to be honest with you. Things haven't gone well for that five in the first 5 minutes of this quarter. He was hoping they'd have extended the lead back out again, and they haven't. So maybe it's just time for fresh faces and new ideas.
Gita from the right, and the rebound from Scaria.
She just didn't need to take that shot. It's an inexperienced shot, that one. You know, she had a new 14 seconds. She was almost on the baseline trying to curl the shot around the side of the backboard. She could have got a better shot in that 14 seconds.
Well, they've got the mismatch again with Ching. Passes it back out. Lin for three. That's good. Every time Chinese Taipei wobble, they seem to get a big shot.
Yeah, 6 from 17 from outside now. Chinese Taipei putting on a good shooting performance here.
Oh, great play by Songkar. Gita goes up. And again, she desperately wants to do it, but she has to maintain control.
But I like how scrappy India are being. They're fighting for those offensive rebounds really, really hard.
And then just hit the three. Now hands it off to Chen. And Savage calls timeout as Chinese Taipei take their lead back up to 55-36. Back up to 19.
Yeah, the issue you have, as hard as India work to get back into it, Taipei still have that quality to be able to connect in pressure situations.
You all others. So one Mandu, Anjana, Amol, and Steph.
Let's go defense. 1, 2, 3, defense.
It's going to be an interesting final 4 minutes to this third quarter. Still plenty to play for India. They've absolutely battled their way back into this game.
Gita. Oh, Steffi Nixon back in. And 6 seconds on the shot clock. Bandavia put up the three. And the dump and rebound for India, but then, oh, just a careless pass by Steffi Nixon, or Panu, excuse me. So that's where Panu's got to be better.
And they're the small mistakes, you know, that time, experience will ultimately remove for India.
And yet another turnover. And Chen, and they dodged a bullet that time.
Oh, what a shame. Chai passed a beautiful pass. Weight and time of that pass was absolutely to perfection.
And Davia, ooh, in and out. Steffi Nixon with the rebound, and she will at least get to go to the line.
Nixon yet to score. Sometimes nice to get your points in from the free throw line, but she's no good with the first.
Yeah, and and this is where I guess you have to really be patient with your team if you're Coach Savage, because in basketball terms, they're probably not quite at the same level as Chinese Taipei, and you are going to make some mistakes.
Yeah.
But you give those easy turnovers and easy baskets, those are the ones that really
frustrating.
give you those gray hairs.
Yeah.
Traveling. And still, what did they get it down to? They got it down to 12 points, or no, they got down to 11.
They were really, really close. And this is the thing, at this level of competition, it takes a minute, 2 minutes, of lapse, offense or defense, and the other team will punish you for it. And that's what Chinese Taipei have done. They've opened the lead back out to 20 again.
Well, Stephanie Nixon needs to get rid of it. Gita fouled by Huang in the paint. I will say this about India: every single game has been entertaining, isn't it?
Yeah, it has. And the wonderful thing is you've seen the crowds gradually get bigger in the arena as the days have gone by. So obviously word of mouth has spread around Bangalore.
Hey, come watch India, they're fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's probably for the local organising committee one of the main reasons to start get a bit of good word of mouth going around Bangalore and overall around India, that maybe women's basketball and their national team is something that people should be buying into. And it's great because they have shown glimpses of the progression that they're making, and glimpses of maybe one day, it'll be a few tournaments down the road, but maybe one day they'll be competing at the top of this tournament.
And you know what, Mark? I mean, this is the second time that I've been here in the last 3 years, and this is a fun place to come. I mean, Bengaluru is a nice place to visit. It's not like we're getting out and doing much other than basketball.
The inside of this arena is wonderful.
But the people are really friendly.
Oh, unbelievable.
You just feel like you're right at home.
And just the atmosphere, the atmosphere. We've only got a 5-minute walk from the hotel to the arena, but you get a feel of the local people and the kind of
get a feel for the vibe. Yeah, you get a feel for the local traffic.
Oh, definitely. You have to take your life into your own hands, but we've survived so far.
We say that in jest. It's you can cross on the bridge. Lynn. And now here comes Gita again. They got it back to 17. Never say never for these Indians. Steffi Nixon. And Steffi Nixon that pass has got to be a lot better. Just don't make the pass.
Well, the issue you've got, she's left her feet. Well, that should be is a step around pass. That shouldn't be her leaving her feet and try and make a pass while she is in midair. There should be a pass fake and then step around and bounce it into someone.
Bandavia. Oh, Kumari was open. She decides to go in.
I like that move by Kumari, though. It shows confidence. It shows, a good direction towards the basket. She's not stepping back and accepting fadeaways or long shots.
10 from 3. Oh, no, that was Lynn from 3. And it really is just, it's like Groundhog's Day, isn't it? India make the run. They're turning it on, and then Chinese Taipei just bury a three-pointer.
Yeah, it's almost the fire extinguisher for Chinese Taipei is a three-pointer. You start seeing this smouldering offense from India, a few sparks, and they quickly extinguish it.
Good job, Pando, getting her nose stuck in there. Looks like Ching was had enough of that with Pando. Oh, they called a foul in the end.
Yeah, they did.
I thought they called the jump ball.
Yeah, I thought it was a help ball as well, but
that's probably why Ching was giving that dirty look. Probably been fouled. Look at that no-look pass. Look at Huang. Ju for 3 again. Wow! Chinese Taipei electrifying from three-point range. Final second at the third quarter. Bandavia gave it a good go. Chinese Taipei with a couple of threes here in the closing minute of the third quarter have pushed the lead back up to 23. This is the last one by Ju. And that makes it a comfortable lead for this team coached by Ken Wagner. They are up 63-40 with 10 minutes remaining.
And there's your shooting stats from the game, and 8 from 20 for Chinese Taipei from outside, 40%. And it's not just the 8 shots that they've made, it's the time that they've made them. It's literally India seemed to get a bit of spark on the offensive end, start to come back into it, and then Chinese Taipei, cool and calm from the perimeter, just jack up the 3 and listen for the string music.
But also, the big thing is, you know, Chinese Taipei got off that good start, and India weren't playing well, so they're playing catch up, and this is what they're faced with. You know, they chase the game, they make inroads, they get it down to 11, and Chinese Taipei hit a three-pointer. You know, it's just, you know, you got to be ready to play, you got to be able to execute from the beginning. Otherwise, it's an uphill battle.
Yeah, and that was the worry I had in the China game earlier, because China didn't turn up at the start, and I thought, oh my goodness me, Australia could have a 30-40 point win over China. This could be unbelievable. And then China just turned on the jets and then got themselves back into the game and won it by a point in the end in what's been the best game of the tournament so far. But you're right, in this level of competition, you can't take those first couple of minutes to find your feet in the game. You need to hit the ground running. You need to come to the game ready to play on both ends of the floor.
Yeah, that China win over Australia, I mean, I don't care who would have won that game, but boy, did that kind of reignite the passion for basketball, because it was stuff that you could not take your eyes off of. Great performance by both teams. Well, Lamai comes out online. Great play by Sankar, throwing it off of Huang. I don't think Huang was too impressed.
No, just couldn't quite get a feed out of the way in time, but a heads-up play by Sankar.
Arvin's in. She's a slasher. Lamai again for 3, and that's it. And once again, you feel that surge, that little electricity jolt in the arena, that maybe these Indians have one more big run in them.
Yeah, Lamai up to 13 now, 3 from 6, 50% from outside, and she's not taking them just outside the line either. She's stepping way back for some of them.
Chai trying to use her advantage, and that's where they've been very smart. Going to Chai as well as Huang down low. Lamai denied by Tsai, and now Huang Fanshan in the game for the first time in the second half. Played in the first half, but it's her first second half appearance. And a nice drive by Lin. And now the lead is 24. So all the huffing and puffing by India, it was 25 at one point. They got it down to 11, and now it's back up to 24. That's where Navanita has to learn to shoot with that left hand. Give herself a better chance of making the shot. Huang, Ping Jin, and good rebound for Navanita.
The thing is, sometimes it's easy to forget that ultimately India were promoted from Division B in 2017. You know, this is their first time in Division A, and the gulf between Division B and Division A is vast. You know, you're going from programs like India that are starting to develop and grow to, you know, Division A has the powerhouses, you know, some of the biggest teams in world basketball. So for them to perform at this level and to challenge like they have in every game they've played in so far is a real credit to them.
Now called down low. I know that, you know, because we live in Europe, you're in Great Britain and I'm in Spain, you know, for so long we had Division A, Division B, and I mean, from the elite teams, comparing them to the Division B teams, there was a big gulf. But from the lower echelon teams at Division A, there wasn't much difference at all.
No, and I think you can probably say the same here. You know, ultimately Kazakhstan could have won that promotion game against India. You know, it could have gone either way, that one. So yeah, I think probably the lower few teams in Division A are similar to the top few teams from Division B. But you do have to be very impressed by how India have gone about their business, and they've shown glimmers in the game of exactly why they're investing in women's basketball, because there is real, you know, there's talent there.
Oh yeah, there's
better.
There's
talent there.
No, they're better than 2 years ago. There's no doubt about it, and that's why it would be kind of a shame if they were relegated again. Not to say that I'm hoping that they avoid it or not, because obviously the Philippines, if they end up playing each other, would also like to stay up.
Yeah, they're in a similar position. They're trying to grow women's basketball in their country. So yeah, it's a similar kind of impact standing division they would have for both of those.
And the dump, and the basket is good from Cheng. And right now, Chinese Taipei is starting to lower the boom. Their biggest lead of the game is at 27 points. Mai loses the ball, and 3-on-1 break, and nice pass by Huang Fanshan. The lead is 29. And now you have to say victory is in their sights. Good move by Scaria. Might have forced it up a little bit there. Tongkar for three. That's what we've been waiting on. And then timeout called, so Arvin can tie her shoe. We saw Tongkar hit a couple last night as well.
Yeah, and you look across the Indian roster, and there's, you know, Geeta's had spells where she's done well. Songkar's had spells where she's done well. Kumari, Scalia, Lemai. This is the great thing. It's not just a couple of players that have carried them in these good phases that they've had in the game. It's different players stepping up to the plate, and that's great to see that they've got a bit more depth than just a couple of good players.
Another three-pointer for Chinese Taipei. They are rolling them in right now, and Lin has hit 3 of them. Reaches up. A little bit too difficult of a shot there for Bandavia. I'll tell you, the Chinese Taipei team they make that entry pass. Once they make that entry pass to that low block, they're scoring. They're not missing those opportunities.
No, really clinical, as we see Songkar on
Songkar's
the
gone
floor.
down, yeah.
What happened was she fell hard, and she's already got that right hand heavily strapped, and that's the part of her body that bounced off the hardwood, and she looks like she's in a fair bit of pain.
Well, that would... Here he is. She was... Oh, yeah, it was the left. Might not see her again, because she'll be needed tomorrow.
Yeah, more important games ahead for India. You'd imagine they'd want to rest her. She's played her part today.
Was it the right hand?
It was both hands. They kind of flung back to try and break her fall, but they were a little bit late, so they ended up just
that's always the
crashing into the ground.
The natural thing, isn't it? You try to break your fall,
and you usually end up doing more damage to yourself than if you just let yourself fall.
Yeah.
It's the natural flinch reaction, though. But she's played 24 minutes tonight, so it's not like she hasn't put a shift in.
Let's listen in. So looking ahead, if as we expect that India will not win this game, so Chinese Taipei will go on and win. That leaves us with the bracket, so to speak. Who's going to face who in the qualifiers for the semifinals, and then the winner of those qualifiers, who they will go on and face it. And you've solved it.
Yeah, I have. I've done the riddle. Thankfully, it's not too difficult. But at the moment, yeah, so it looks like if Chinese Taipei come out of the winner with this one, they'll go on to play Australia in the qualification game to make it through to the semi-finals, and the winner of that one will move on to play Japan in the semi-finals. And then the other side of the bracket will be Korea taking on New Zealand in the qualification for the semi-final game, and whoever wins that Korea-New Zealand game will face China in the semi-finals. And I'm already salivating about those games because I'm not going to pick a winner out of those. Obviously, Australia will be heavy favourites against Chinese Taipei. They've got a point to prove after losing to China. But the Korea-New Zealand game, I'm not going to pick a winner out of that. I think that's going to be close. They both come with very different styles of play, and it'll be who imposes their style on the game that will probably come away with that. But then you get to the semi-finals, you know, Chinese Taipei or Australia against Japan, and then Korea or New Zealand against China. An exciting few days of basketball ahead of us.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously the tougher side of the bracket is the one with Japan, because that's a semi-final that is just wow.
Well, it's a repeat of it's potentially a repeat of last year's final. If Australia take it to the form book, then they've got even more of a point to prove against Japan in the semi-final this year.
But I don't know if anybody's going to be proving any points against Japan the way they played tonight.
Wow, they were clinical.
Another three-pointer for Kamari. That's 2 in a row, back-to-back. She's not finished.
And they're giving the crowd plenty to enjoy here, and that's one of the important things. I guarantee every member of this crowd will quite happily come and watch another Indian women's game.
Every single time when Kamari comes into the game, Chinese Taipei rotate the ball and they get the mismatch. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, every single time. And what India need to learn off the back of that, what they need to do is ultimately, instead of just giving that away, just jump into a double team. What's the worst that can happen? You're going to give away the same thing you're already giving away.
Well, Wu's come in, missed with the putback. Beautiful bounce pass. This is progress in Indian basketball, exemplified perfectly with that play.
Yeah, it is, because that's a really clean, special play, because it's just a straightforward, fundamentally sound play. But that's where you build more intricate offenses from. You know, until you have these basic building blocks in place, you can't go any further.
Look at this.
Wonderful pick and roll play. A beautiful pass from Geeta. Yeah. Just millimeter perfect pass.
And it's caught and scored by Panu, who, you know, you wouldn't consider one of the real frontline players. So even the message is filtering down through everybody in that squad. So they're all on the same page, and this Indian team is getting better. Now the dunk. And the captain missed it, but she gets it and goes back up. Raja Priyadashine. And just like that, 77-56. And it's plays like that where Indy let themselves down. They're having a run. They don't steal the baseline. Watch this. So she makes the turn and just goes right up for the reverse and draws the foul. On does not complete the three-point play. But, I mean, you know, we're getting excited talking about India for obvious reasons. We're here and we're watching them make progress, but you also have to tip your hat to Chinese Taipei. They played some great basketball at this FIBA Women's Asia Cup.
Yeah, they really have, and it was from the opening tip. You know, the first game that they came out and played, it was scrappy, but it's exactly what they should have done against Korea. You know, they only ended up losing by 4 points, 48-44 in that one, and it just didn't stop for them. They went on to challenge Japan, and they caused Japan major issues yesterday when they dropped into a zone. Japan just almost found it impossible to break that zone defense that Chinese Taipei were playing. So, Yeah, as much as we're raving about the kind of seedling of Indian basketball growing beautifully, Chinese Taipei themselves are really taking the next step to becoming a bigger, you know, more powerhouse kind of basketball country for women's basketball. And that's great to see. You know, ultimately, we'd love 8 teams in Division A who you couldn't put a piece of paper between them. You'd love to have 8 teams who you don't really know who's going to win. There isn't a form favourite, or it's a really close game. It's Asian women's basketball is moving on in exactly the right direction.
And I think you'd be making a very big mistake just to write in an Australian win against Chinese Taipei.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I think that they will win, but I think it could be a little bit more complicated than people think.
Yeah, they're going to be put through the ringer. They're going to have to play 40 minutes of basketball and play a tough style of basketball as well.
They will, Ken Wagner will devise a plan that will make things a little bit awkward for Australia. And, you know, he's got the bodies.
And he's got them bought into him as well. He's got them bought into the system. The way they play basketball hasn't changed. You know, no matter who on the floor, ultimately, if you're going to sub 5 players in, 5 players out, you're pretty confident that 1 through 12 get what you want them to do. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to do that.
I think where Australia will probably be too good is their intensity, their physicality, you know, they've got good players really at every position. And they will post these players up.
Yeah, I think the physicality for Australia is where Chinese Taipei, you know, ultimately that might be their downfall, if I'm honest. Zone defense may help that. You know, they may have to double into the post against the likes of Kayla George and McBeggar, but yeah, you'd have to say that's probably, you'd imagine, part of the big game plan for Australia tomorrow.
Nice shot from Han, 12 points, a quiet 12 for Han. Nanu, there you go, backing her way down, drawing the foul. So Chinese Taipei 0-2 come in and do what they need to do tonight. They're up 85-56. Altogether different tasks they face tomorrow, and they know it.
Oh yeah, you know, they'll prep. Obviously tomorrow they'll have a pre-game meeting, and it'll be very different with regards to how they prepared for today's game. The game plan is going to be very, very different. That said, if they can shoot anywhere near as well as they have in this game against Australia, that gives them a real chance of staying in that game all the way to the final minutes. And if you can be in a game like that to the closing minutes, you do have that sneaky chance of causing the upset.
Well, this is it just illustrates why it was so crucial for them to win that Korea game, because they could have avoided Australia and instead taking on, it would have been Korea. No, sorry.
Yeah, but New Zealand.
New Zealand, yeah. So, and they beat New Zealand 2 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, if you had to pick between who would you rather face, Australia and New Zealand, I think most teams would pick to take on the Dolphins.
And Davia gets another 2 points. Is that her first 2? I thought she'd already scored. Anyway.
I'm sure she has.
Oh, no, sorry. I'm not. Yeah, it is. Davia. I guess not. Chinese Taipei always are able to take the joy out of India's, or take the wind out of India's sails.
Yeah, they're slight party poopers, aren't they? They're not happy just to take the win. They have to spoil the party as well.
I think that'll be it. Chinese Taipei will probably inbound it and just.
I don't know. It looks like India want to play defense, though.
Yeah. That's possibly more the naivete of Indian basketball. But anyway, Savage and Wagner shake each other's hands. Or Visage, I mean, excuse me. Sorry, Savage. He's not coaching here, sorry, folks. 87-58, Chinese Taipei win it over India. They will face Australia in the qualification for the semifinals. India will go into the classification game. I think everybody expected that against the Philippines, and boy, that is going to be a tasty one.
Yeah, another game to look forward to. It's again, you'd say the Philippines might just be favourites, but if India can extend some of this fine form that they've shown in the last couple of games, if they can extend it a little bit further, then potentially they've got the chance. As your shooting percentages in Chinese Taipei, 38% from beyond the arc, 9 threes. It's impressive shooting.
I mean, in the end, they only had 2 more than India.
Yeah, India came out and shot the ball. They shot the ball really well, and India even winning the offensive, the rebounding battle, 45 to 34. 14 offensive rebounds for India, and that will be a concern for Chinese Taipei going into that game against Australia. But obviously, India 22 turnovers, really tough to win a game if you're going to have that many turnovers.
Well, today's been a real celebration of basketball, really, in Asia. We saw some great performances. Japan rolled to a big win. We saw China win a thriller over Australia, and we saw this Chinese Taipei come out here and take care of business tonight against an Indian team that never quit. Lin with 15 points, Lamai 13.
Impressive performance from Lamai as well. She was really determined to make up for kind of a poor showing yesterday, and she really did. She really did. Across the board, she was lighting up the box score, and although she didn't get the win, she can be very pleased with her personal performance.
Chinese Taipei have figured out they're not going to go through the mix zone. They're just going to avoid it and go the other way. Oh, well. So here's some of the plays. Lamai came out and gave her fans, India fans, a thrill.
Yeah, and the thing you had, obviously Chinese Taipei had a wonderful start to the game. Opening quarter, 28-10, they outscored India, and it was always going to be an uphill struggle. It was going to be a tough game from the start, let alone giving an 18-point lead for Chinese Taipei. But what I loved is that India locked down the defensive end in that second quarter. They limited Chinese Taipei to just 13 points, but a resurgent Chinese Taipei in the second half. 22-16, leading the scoring in the third quarter, and 24-18 in the final quarter. But India up to 58 points against Chinese Taipei, limiting Chinese Taipei to under 90. Definitely big steps forward for this Indian program, but ultimately it's a box tick for Chinese Taipei, and they now move on to that game against Australia tomorrow, where it's we enter the one and done phase of the tournament.
Well, we've had 3 consecutive days of 4 games each. Tomorrow there will be 3. Obviously, because Japan and China, by virtue of finishing first, they basically get a bye straight into the semifinals. So I guess we'll get a little bit more prep time for those games. And as you say, it's something to really look forward to. And I think it's very important for people watching a game like this to really recognize that the steps that are being taken, for example, by this Indian women's basketball team. You know, it's not 40 minutes of perfection, but it is 40 minutes of a determined effort, and there has been noticeable improvement.
Yeah, I think, and I think it's, you can almost put it as their first game, probably 5-10 minutes of good basketball. Their second game, maybe 10-15 minutes. They seem to be stretching how long their concentration and their kind of sticking to the game plan in each game. And again, they showed tonight, you know, so much heart, determination, and fight back into this. I'm really excited to see their game against the Philippines, because I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park for the Philippines. I think, you know, India now know that this is their biggest game of the tournament for them coming up.
Well, today we watched New Zealand win, Australia fall to China in the thriller, Japan roll to a big win over Korea, and Chinese Taipei do what they had to do against India to get that big win. And the standings in Group A, Japan up top, they go straight to the semifinals. Korea and Chinese Taipei go into the qualification for the semifinals. India, meanwhile, will play the Philippines in the classification game, the battle for Division A survival. Until tomorrow, thanks for watching, folks. Good night from Bengaluru.